Okay.
I hate everything.
I'll start then.
Okay.
Yeah, all I feel is pain. You know, that wasn't actually planned out.
No.
That was really
I
not
thought you were
planned
going
out.
somewhere with that.
I wasn't going anywhere with that. That like just came out
The
of my
side
brain.
effect is pain. All right. The side effect. Well, I don't see a problem with dating your second cousin.
Nate!
Actually,
well, they have
I
to be
do have a
hot.
problem with that. I do have a problem with dating your second cousin. Let's be real. Well, hi.
Hi,
I'm Nate. That's JC.
Welcome to the studio.
Yo.
Rush of ideas and just imagination and chaos. You know, you make things, you break things in the span of seconds just with your thoughts.
Kinesthetic style, but only within the mind.
Take a whole idea and like deconstruct it and then rebuild it in like a completely different way.
Swimming in chaos.
Welcome to
I
Just
can't
even
with
myself.
right now.
Let's go.
Well, let's do it. Why do we get along despite having our polar functions?
Yeah, okay,
our
so
polar elements.
For those of you who don't know, I have polar FI because I'm an ILE, ENTP, whatever. And Nate is an ENFP and he has polar TI.
Well, yeah, as an IE. Yeah.
And TI is my second function. Okay, I'm confusing myself with which system I should be talking in.
Well, you can just change it up a bit. I mean, second function.
Yeah.
Creative
function.
Element, yeah.
Whatever. And FI is Nate's second function. So we wanted to talk about basically why do we get along despite the fact that maybe we almost shouldn't get along this well.
We shouldn't get along.
No, I'm saying according to theory, maybe we shouldn't get along this well.
Well, what are we called again in the intertype relations? No, hold on. Comparative. We're the comparative.
We are comparative.
So, comparative partners talk about similar things, have similar interests, obey the norms of politeness and hospitality. Hold on, what's that? Kindred? After a while, these relations can become boring and stagnant.
Actually, I see that with me with other ENFPs for sure.
When comparative partners are on the same level in the hierarchy, they can coexist quite peacefully. Once one partner becomes superior to the other, they may have serious disagreements and conflicts. Ooh.
Well, that's interesting. Maybe it has to do with, maybe it's saying that like we think as though we are on the same level as each other and that keeps the peace.
Well, that and we don't get jealous.
Yeah, okay. Honestly, yeah, it comes down to that. Like neither of us get jealous of people in general, and we definitely don't get jealous of each other.
No, there's like, really no reason for me.
Yeah, just like when we share the things that we do, we're both like, yes, we're not going to be
they even mention here too. Comparative partners look at the same questions from very different angles. One partner feels as if the other is, in their opinion, trying to solve the same problem in an impractical manner. Moreover, partners are not happy to acknowledge each other's different point of view. Oh, this may cause some misunderstanding. Is this only for, what kind of people is this?
That's interesting because I don't think that we do that.
I think it really does depend on...
It depends on which types you're talking about, for sure.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we're both NE based, so, like, of course we can see it from the other person's point of view, you know? Like, that's all we do. Look at all the points of view.
Generally, from my own experience, like, I do not really have problems talking to ILEs. Like, I've never really had an issue with them. Although I would say that the most hilarious moments I would have is I barely get into arguments with the supposed debater type for some odd.
The debater, wow, that's me.
Yeah.
Let me debate you on that.
Oh, apparently, here's another one. I don't even know what website this is. I'm on some kind of website, and it's telling me. So when an IE says to his ILE friend, "Oh, what a beautiful suit! Did you put it on to impress that girl you mentioned last week?" And then the IE would feel very awkward because relationships are a delicate subject to them. Meanwhile, the IE feels perfectly at ease voicing the subject.
That's funny. I mean, yeah, honestly, as a polar FI and a 3, I'm always moving away from emotions, trying to disconnect.
Plus, we've never really talked about, we don't talk about that kind of stuff. Like, even I am not interested.
Yeah, like, okay, the thing is that, like, as NE DOMs, we don't care so much about, like, oh, how was your day, or what's happening in your life. We care about like our thoughts, our big dreams, our next step. We do care about like TE and TI things, you know, like actionable things that we're gonna do. But honestly, like, I don't think either of us have ever texted each other like, hey, so what are you doing? Like, we would never send that kind of text because like it doesn't make sense to either of us. Like,
I guess I would say that in a theoretical setting, like what we're reading or what I was reading kind of applies.
Yeah.
But as individuals who literally you and then me, we get along basically on the basis that of I guess just mutual respect for the other person. That, and we're not clingy.
Oh yeah, exactly. Honestly, we do send each other a lot of messages, but I like the thing is that if like you send me like messages of like 3 different subjects and I only answer one of them, it literally doesn't matter. Like, it's not a big deal. And
there's no pressure.
Yeah, or like I send you something and sometimes you don't even like respond to that and you say something else. Like, that's totally fine with both of us. Like, it doesn't, like, it's not like neither of us takes it personally, and if someone doesn't answer, we're not the type to delete our messages because someone didn't answer us.
Well, for that side, I can say that with my background, I was raised or conditioned to have the belief that once you let it out of your mouth, it's out, you can't take it back.
Can't take it back.
So I don't agree with it. Actually, when I was being taught this by my parents, I actually didn't agree with that philosophy because it felt very limiting. But at the same time, having had that framework early on,
though. Yeah.
Yeah, like it kind of made me acknowledge the FE situation.
Yeah, for me, it was also like a big thing of like, we talked about this too before, like just taking responsibility for everything that I've done or everything that happens to me. Like, so if I said something, I need to take responsibility for that, even if I try to take it back. You can't take it back. Like, the thing is, you can't take words back. You can grow, you can learn from it, but you can't act like it never happened. That was very SI of me to say, but yeah, like.
Yeah. Well, the thing is I think, because I guess the opposite axis too would believe or feel as though that it doesn't really matter what you can or can't take back. The concept of taking it back is because you are going to double down with, you know, fixing that person's, I guess, perception of you, or if you did hurt them, you could fix it. I just think it was really funny just to see the perspective shifts, because with my parents and how they believe and feel about taking things back, it's almost, well, it reminded me that what you get what you put out into the world, right? You get what you throw in. So like, don't complain about it if sometimes you don't always get the best response because maybe you didn't fix your word right to get the message. Right. I mean, comedy's all about timing.
Yeah, that's true. You need good timing for a joke to hit, for something to resonate.
If it doesn't land, then you gotta apologize because it ruffled some feathers. I mean, that's the thing with roasts too, right? Especially if you out of context, it could hurt.
You have to be roasting the right people, and you have to have the right relationship with them to roast them. And I think that is a big reason why ENTPs can be like jerks, is because they can't measure that. Like, they don't know how offended someone will be.
So is it really roasting then when the whole thing is just accidental?
Well, I think it's like they were trying to roast, and what they did was they offended. And again, like, I have an older brother who is an ENTP, so growing up with him, like, seeing, like, the social things that he's messed up with just as a polar FI, like, it taught me because, again, my FE is two-dimensional, so I could learn from that. I don't have to experience it directly, so he had to experience those things directly, but I got to just learn from him and then move on with my life. It was honestly nice. It's like there was a blueprint, and then it's like a manual of things, what not to do, and also things to do. But
that's actually pretty cool, because I would say that a lot of my NTP, well, one of the NTP friends I do know, well, maybe STP as well. I'll put him in the mix here. You know, shout out if you hear it, if you're listening. That with them, they're surrounded by a big family, or families who were more, you know, expressive of their feelings, that they were allowed to. They weren't really shamed for being themselves. So there wasn't really a problem being open about their emotions. Yeah, there's a little problematic. Like, one of them's an INTP, so inferior FE makes them a little awkward. But it isn't completely, like, it's not a loss, like a hopeless case.
That's interesting, because in my family, I grew up with my mom, who's a FI Dom, and like, there's a lot of encouragement to like say what you're feeling, but usually what I was feeling was wrong. It wasn't like the right social response to things. So I was encouraged to express what I'm feeling, but then if anything, it made me, as I got older, like not want to express it. Again, it made me better at masking it, made me better at denying what I'm really feeling, etc. And again, I'm a 3, so it makes perfect sense that I ended up the way I am now.
Well, it's funny that now that you mentioned, because as you were telling me this, I remembered the NTP that I know is a 9, and he always talks about numbing, because he's just been allowed all these feelings, and he himself puts it on himself, the guilt and the feeling of being irresponsible with his own emotions, so he numbs it, even though the rest of the family are like, yo, you're fine.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
I thought it was so funny, because I mean, that's the reason I laughed at him when he was all emotional, because not because I wanted to shame the guy, but I thought it was kind of dumb for him to go into this shell when nothing in the outside FE, let's say, atmosphere.
Well, again, that sort of thing is interesting, because like that could either encourage you to be more so like it or to reject it, right? So like, for example, growing up, like my parents gave me a lot of hugs, but personally I'm not a big fan of a physical touch, right? So as you get older, that could either make me more open to it and like I want to hug more people because I was, enlightened, or it could make me more touch averse, and like I'm kind of like that. I don't really want anyone to touch me. Like I just like, don't touch me. I mean, I'm not like weird about it, but like, I'm not going to go up and hug anyone.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm like, nah.
Well, I remember that one time I gave a person, I was feeling particularly beautiful that one day, and I wanted to give this person a hug, and I went for it, and then this person looked at me and they said, oh, in my culture, we don't like giving hugs because it's weird. And I'm like, we're both Filipino.
Welcome to Canada. I don't know.
No, what's funny is we're both Filipino. I'm like, what culture?
You're like, my culture?
You mean...
That's interesting.
You mean the one that also goes through my blood veins?
The one we share.
Like, what? After that, it was just really strange, to the point where, at least that, I'm thankful that happened, though. My 7's kicking in, because in a way it did remind me that everybody is different, and there are people who are going to be open to your actions and people who aren't. Right. And I'm okay with that happening, because in a way everybody is different, so you might as well, I guess, acknowledge it for what it is. But I also gain Sorry. Well, I used to get the confidence. We're just saying, well, it's their loss if they don't want it.
Yeah, that's true. And I want to touch on something that we talked about. I think it either ended up in our video or Megan's video. Well, I think it comes down to like both of us we make up for each other's like shortcomings, like I come to you with my FI dilemmas, and it's like, it's not a problem for you to like quote unquote solve them for me, and if you come with me, you're like, hey, I need your TI. I'm like, yeah, sure. And like, it's not like a big deal because it's our strengths, so we don't even see it as like a burden. At least I don't, and I'm sure you don't either. So yeah, we don't see it as a burden. So plus, it's like,
plus being around, at least for myself, growing up, I purposely chose to surround myself with TI thinking folks, to the point where I kind of would say that I do feel a bit bad that I haven't been as exposed to TE. I think like every now and then, especially when I do meet a TE person, I actually get really excited because I don't often interact with TE users on the daily.
I actually surrounded myself with a lot of TE users, like high TE, so like NTJs,
so we switched in
or
situation.
STJs. Yeah, exactly. So that's interesting. But I didn't. It's not like I did surround myself with quite a few like high FI users, but mostly I had a lot of TJ people near me, like higher TE. So I think it taught me how to interact with FI from like a, I guess, safer standpoint for me. Like, like to like, it's lower down their stack, so it was able to slowly show me how to interact with it, as well as the fact that my mom's an INFP, my sister's an ENFP. Like I was like dumped into the FI tank
hellhole of FI.
Yeah, I mean, but again, my dad is an ISTP, so I mean, I had the TI also, so it's
Thank goodness. I feel like that's fantastic to have.
And again, my brother was an ENTP, so I think I honestly got like everything except we don't have any J's in our family. So there's that.
Yeah, and again, an opposite with me as well, because I'm the only P in my family.
Yeah.
So that's, and a lot of my aunts, like let's go extended, they're also a lot of J's, but a lot of anxiety disorder. So it's also kind of, I guess it goes hand in hand.
Well, actually, interestingly, for me also, like the fact that like I have no J's in my immediate family was interesting, because growing up, I kind of imagined that this is normal, because like what 75% of that, whatever that statistic, I might have mentioned this in one of our previous videos, 75% of people are SJs, or I don't know who made the stats or whatever, but
I think it's still, I think it was pretty old, like an ancient, like wasn't it like
but they say basically there are a lot of SJs, and just the fact that there were like none in my immediate family made it weird when I went out into like the real world where people aren't, it's an NE fest at home. And my dad keeps up perfectly fine. He's used to it, even though he's an ISTP. But like, the rest of us, literally, I thought it's normal to like be here and then you jump 20 steps to another spot and all of us are there. But like going out to the real world, people are like, talk slower, explain your thought process. I'm like, what? Like, it boggles my mind.
That has been me for all my life.
Yeah.
Is
like,
being told that I need to enunciate. And
everyone
if you're
tells
going,
me.
if you have to talk, you have to be articulate and you have to talk like as if you're floating.
And I can do that like during a speech and like a presentation, but like day-to-day speech, I'm like, dude, keep up. Like, honestly.
But I had to learn Tagalog for when I was a kid because being raised here, it's so easy for me to just absorb English. And when you're reading something, especially like hard words in Tagalog, you tend to word it out slowly because some of the words are really long. But my parents were like, well, you can't just do that because sometimes the pronunciation of the word conveys the emotion that's required in it. So you have to also know how to read it fast. So you have to get it in your head that this word is going to sound like this, because if you don't, you're going to mess it up. And I'm going, totally give the P a pressure. Yeah, P is for pressure, of course.
P is for pressure. I
P
love
is
that.
For pressure.
Anyway, thank you for joining us on this episode of why we begrudgingly get along, and we will see you.
She has me at gunpoint. Guys.
Yeah.
This is why this is the fire going on. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see you in our next one. Bye.
Bye.